I think one of the best things to me about the military was the fact that you get so much responsibility at such a young age. At 22 or 23 years old, I'm a young second lieutenant. I've just arrived in Germany, and I'm a tank platoon leader, so I'm on my M1 tanks. And all of a sudden, there's something that we had, and I won't go into the name of it, but it was basically you would get called up to ensure that you're prepared for an alert. So it was called an alert. You'd get a phone call at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You had to make phone calls to make sure your soldiers were ready. As a young lieutenant, I was living off the base. And your job is to make sure your platoon, which is 4 tanks for me at the time, is up and ready to go out the back gate. And so it's kind of a pride thing to be the first one ready. And so I was new. I'd probably been in Germany for a few weeks. And I knew this happened, but you didn't really know how it would happen. And so you talk to your platoon about it, and they're like, sir, we got it covered. We can get you up and running. Just make sure we get called, make sure everything's ready. So you got your go to war bag and all the things that you need to literally go out the back gate and prepare to go to war. And so we get a call, and like I said, I was probably there 2 or 3 weeks. And fortunately, we were the first platoon up. And so as soon as you're up, you call your company commander, he calls battalion commander, they call the brigade commander, it goes all the way up the line. And so we were the first ones up. So then all of a sudden, they tell us it's just an alert, everybody stand down except for Alpha Company 3rd Platoon, which was mine. And they're like, you're going out on a mission. So I'm like, this is pretty cool. And that day, specifically, we were literally going out to do river crossing operations. And so the Main River is there. We're just between Frankfurt and Würzburg. And the best part about it was, obviously, I'd never done a river crossing operation. And suddenly you have to lay out your maps. They tell you where you're going to cross the rivers, what you're going to meet. Are you going to be on a makeshift bridge? Are you going to be on pontoon boats that carry each tank across one by one? Are you going to have to do water forging operations? And so they kind of tell you what you're doing. And so the purpose of that is that they need to practice what they're doing as combat engineers to help the military prepare. And so as a young lieutenant, now you're like, oh my God, I've got 4 tanks. I've got to figure out how to maneuver across all these things. And there's the Autobahn, which cars are running 150 miles an hour, and our tanks are doing 50 miles an hour. You got to get off at certain exits, and you've got to make sure that whenever you cross a bridge, that it can support 60, 70 tons of a tank going across that bridge. So when you look at the map, now you're trying to figure out, okay, I see I got to go across a couple little small bridges. Can it hold a tank? If not, how do I route? So the purpose of all this is this gets into thinking and map recons. And I can't stress the importance of map recons enough. And the beauty of AI today is AI will help you through map recons like you can't believe. We've got, if you're driving up to New York, a friend of mine, when he takes his boat up there, he's got to think about where he can travel, how tall the boat is, which bridges he can go under. The same thing's true as a product manager. You've got to think about all the nuances that can come in and get in your way and screw up the straight line, because it's never a straight line. And so you've got to think about what happens if I don't get the money that I need to do the marketing that I promised to drive the inbound leads. And you've got to think about all your nuances and how you're going to manage that. And that's what makes a successful leader. And I think that the more you realize that a map recon can help you, and now with AI, it can help you even more. There's something called a pre-mortem strategy that you can take, and you may have heard people talk about it. This is basically where you use Claude or Grok or whoever you want to use and say, this is what I'm trying to do. Do a pre-mortem on why this might fail. And the benefit of that is it'll tell you all the reasons why it might fail. If you can figure out how to solve them, or at least put weighted averages on them, suddenly you've got a tremendous amount of knowledge in the back of your brain so that you can play the game forward and know what you're going to do if you hit those things. So for example, I talk about the bridges on a tank, very practical, very visual. If I get to a bridge and I find out it's a 12-ton bridge and I'm sitting in a 60-ton tank, guess what? We have a problem. I now have a whole bunch of people behind me who can't follow me, and now we got to back up. That's a problem. And that's in that scenario, that's very dangerous. But the same thing's true if you're promising X amount of revenue and you're not getting the leads based upon your ad spend, what are you going to do? How are you going to manage that? And how do you adjust your spend until you know that you absolutely can get that accomplished? And so it's really critical to do map recons. And the beauty of AI is you can do that. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to help you solve a lot of the problems that you would normally run into. And I think that the quicker you realize to leverage AI to help you find your problems before they come up, and potentially even help you understand the way to get around it. I mentioned my friend with a boat going to New York. Google Maps doesn't help you. You have to think about that. If you're driving a regular car, they'll put you on a parkway. You can't take a boat on the parkway. You got to be on 495 or whatever the case may be. And I think that the most important thing is, as a product manager, program manager, CEO, of a founder, you've got to think about where can things break. And you've heard me talk about rock drills in the past, but at the end of the day, these are the nuances of why rock drills are so important. So I hope that helps. Do your map recon, understand how to deal with consequences before they happen, and more importantly, just understand it's going to happen, and it's your job to figure it out. But it's the best part about running a company, running a product, running a program, whatever the case may be. So hope that helps.